Hello, I'm Dr. Jerry Fishkin, and welcome to my show. We often look at what's current and what's happening in our world today. And what is happening in our world today is there's a tremendous interest in the NFL and brain damage or brain injury. Today's show is based upon a brand new documentary that's on Netflix, a 3-part documentary, and it's entitled Killer Inside, The Mind of Aaron Hernandez. I found it fascinating. Well, but I wasn't the first one to come to this. It happened in my office. One of my patients asked me if I had seen the video about Aaron Hernandez because he knows I deal with brain trauma, and shame, especially. I wrote the book on it, and we'll blast it up on the screen later, The Science of Shame and its treatment. Anyway, this plays into the show that we're doing today. I also want to mention that I have a number of friends that have played with the NFL and have also gone through the NFL's year-long neurological testing program to evaluate CTE, which is chronic traumatic encephalopathy. And we're going to get more into that. What I thought I would do is present to you my notes on the show Killer Inside the Mind of Aaron Hernandez. I think it's really important. And I think that by the time you see this, you're going to see that there are multiple factors operating. André Malraux, the French novelist and social critic, said, and I quote, "Man is not what he thinks he is. He is, rather, what he hides." And nothing could be more apropos to this than the story of Aaron Hernandez. And I'm going to give you all of the background so that you can kind of piece things together. I'm going to help you put it together. So if you want to watch the video, you can watch it. But here we go. In 2010, Aaron Hernandez was drafted by the New England Patriots with a $40 million 5-year contract as a tight end. He was 20 years old at the time. Odin Lloyd was a 27-year-old semi-pro football player who was dating the sister of Aaron's girlfriend, Shayana Jenkins, and who was also the mother of his infant daughter, Avielle. Odin Lloyd was found shot to death in a field near Aaron Hernandez's home in Bristol, Connecticut. Aaron Hernandez was arrested for the crime. He was 23 years old at the time. Now, it's not known why Aaron killed Odin Lloyd. It was suspected, however, that Odin may have seen Aaron in a compromising position with another man and killed him. That's speculation. We don't know that to be a fact. So Aaron was sent to jail, moved from his 7,000 square foot home to a 7 by 10 foot jail cell. And Hernandez appeared to adapt well. He read Harry Potter books. He was doing really well. Clinically, he could compartmentalize unpleasant thoughts and behaviors. And that was an interesting part of this guy's personality. Going back, in high school, Hernandez was the quarterback and his close friend Dennis Sansucci was the tight end. In interviews after his death, Dennis Sansucci revealed that he and Aaron Hernandez had been sexual partners since the 7th grade, and that Aaron was having sex with many other boys as well in high school. Dennis also revealed that both his father and Aaron's father were homophobic to a very, very significant degree. Aaron's father, whose name was also Dennis, was a high school and college football player, a real man's man. And Dennis Hernandez was also an alcoholic who'd come home from work almost daily, nightly, and argued endlessly with his family. He was also a violent man who often beat his wife, Terry, several times to unconsciousness. And Dennis Hernandez was a miserable man. He died when Aaron was 16 years of age after surgery for a hernia repair. On the outside, Dennis Hernandez was like a hero in his community, but on the inside, he was a monster. Aaron's older brother, Jonathan, who is known as DJ, was also a high school and college football player. He was the quarterback at the University of Connecticut. DJ said that Aaron showed no emotion at his father's wake, and Aaron was petrified of his father finding out about his homosexuality and lived a dual life and had a dual personality. At night, Aaron hung out with small-time crooks in his hometown while living the life of a football superstar the rest of the time. It was also said that Aaron mirrored his father. That was his role model. And when his father died, Aaron had no role model, and a part of him, died as well. Now, more into the story. Tanya Singleton was Aaron's 38-year-old cousin who had a maternal relationship with him since he was a child. He felt closer to Tanya than he did with his mother, Terry. Tanya was married to Jeff, who is African American. They had 2 children. Tanya also had breast cancer that metastasized to other parts of her body. Within months of Aaron's father dying, his mother began a relationship with Tanya's husband and moved him into their home. Aaron, age 16, was so upset with the situation that he moved out of his home and into Tanya's home. And when Aaron's father was alive, he was a very rigid man. Tanya's home was loosely run with a lot of drugs present. Now, since early in high school, and I would imagine 7th grade, Aaron smoked pot daily. And he smoked since he was very young, as I said. And he was high all the time in high school. He was also high all the time in college. And Aaron could not stand being alone. He needed people around him all of the time. Of course, my interpretation is he had such low self-esteem that he wasn't even a friend to himself. He never felt at one with himself. However, he excelled at football, and at the University of Florida, playing for the Gators, he was a superstar. He reported that he smoked, again, weed daily and had Toradol shots daily for pain administered by the managers of the football team. Aaron was also covered in tattoos, most likely to cover his shame for being gay and to look more masculine. And he was, in fact, outwardly homophobic. He'd make fun of other gay people. When the NFL tested him before he was accepted into the league, he was given a multi-factor personality test. What was his lowest score on the test? The social maturity scale. Aaron rarely showed any emotion in his relationships. And when you listen to him, if you look at his video, you'll see how flat his affect was. And his relationships all appear to be transactional and not affective or emotional at all. This spread over to his relationship with his mother, Terry. That relationship was fractured and highly transactional as well. And as a result, Aaron's behavior displays all the classical symptoms of a reactive attachment disorder. Aaron stated that he could not communicate with his mother emotionally, and she appeared cold and matter-of-fact. In fact, after he signed his $40 million contract with the Patriots, his mother called him, and she asked for $1 million so she could buy a new home. That the home that Aaron was raised in wasn't good enough for her. She wanted a new home. Clinically, Aaron was mostly impulsive and violent. A sociopath, he never saw himself attached to the murders he committed. He did not see people as humans, but rather as objects. We see this a lot in borderline, but we also see it with antisocial and sociopathic behaviors. His fellow Patriot players characterized him as a football player by day and a gangster by night. They said he lived the life of a chameleon. Most of them didn't know what his true behaviors were about. In 2012, now remember, Aaron's been playing football for 2 years now. In 2012, 2 immigrants were shot to death outside a bar near Boston. It's alleged that they spilled a drink on Aaron and didn't apologize to him. The shooter's getaway car was found in Tanya Singleton's garage. Months later, Aaron Hernandez signed a $40 million contract with the Patriots. It suggested that he shot at least 3 other men with no fatalities. One of the men he shot was his friend, who was shot in the face and left for dead. Ironically, the friend called Aaron the next day, shocking Aaron with the question, "Why did you shoot me, brother?" His friend didn't die. But his friend also didn't report him. When I look at what his clinical symptoms were, they look to me like reactive attachment disorder. He was bisexual and homophobic. In terms of his personality, he was a narcissist. And in my terms, he was a morbid narcissist, because morbid narcissists typically are killers. He had an extreme need for validation, and his sociopathic personality disorder was in full display. On April 19th, 2017, Aaron Hernandez was found dead in his prison cell at approximately 4 a.m. He was 27 years old at the time. It is alleged that he committed suicide by hanging. Upon his death, Aaron's brain was evaluated at the Boston University Medical Center, where it was discovered that he had a severe case of CTE, or chronic traumatic encephalopathy. The disease riddled his brain and even caused it to shrink. The affliction, caused by repeated blows to the head, can trigger aggressive and suicidal behavior. Now, I want you to understand that CTE is not the same as a concussion. CTE is a traumatic attack or assault on the brain through repeated blows to the head. In Aaron's case, his CTE was seen in multiple areas of his brain, and especially in the frontal lobes, which are very important for decision-making, judgment, and cognition. It was so bad that the scientists who evaluated his brain said that his brain, they had never seen damage that bad, especially in someone who's only 27 years old. In Aaron's case, his CTE was seen in multiple areas of his brain, and especially in the frontal lobes, which are very important for decision-making, judgment, and cognition, to the extent that the scientists evaluating his brain stated they had never seen that much damage, and especially someone who is only 27 years of age. There are 4 stages of CTE. In stage 1, we'll see headaches and problems with concentration. In stage 2, we see struggles with managing emotions, including mood swings, depression, short-term memory loss, and some problems with language, aggression, and impulsivity. And they are also prone to substance abuse, having difficulties with balance and swallowing have also been noted. In stages 3 and 4, we see a worsening of the symptoms of stages 1 and 2, and that includes severe dementia symptoms not associated with Alzheimer's. Unfortunately, CTE can only be diagnosed after death, where the brain is dissected and the affected areas are evaluated. It was determined that Aaron's brain at 27 years of age was more affected than males 20 years older. Aaron's life was one of hiding his sexuality, his emotions, and especially his sociopathy. With regard to Aaron's case, let's remember what the Buddha said. Three things cannot long be hidden: the sun, the moon, and the truth.
So, Dr. Jerry, I have a quick question for you. Four of them. First one, what does CTE do to the brain?
Well, before I do that, I want to introduce my little buddy here. This is Jameson the Third. I should say Jameson Fishkin the Third, and he's my partner in crime. And so, hey, smile! You're on camera. Say hello to everybody. Everybody wants to meet you, and we're going to have more shows with Jamie down the road. Okay, what does CTE do to the brain? CTE causes erosions or spots to occur in the brain that affect connectivity with certain areas. And specifically, those areas have to do, as I said earlier, with concentration, memory, managing emotion, including mood swings, depression, short-term memory, and problems with language, aggression, and impulsivity. This is all prefrontal lobe effects. And we know that the prefrontal cortex has to do with judgment, planning, and mood regulation. And Aaron had significant damage to the prefrontal cortex. And we believe that had a major effect. Those lesions, as you can see when you look at the video, were huge. And the scientists at the Boston University Medical Center said they had never seen lesions like that, and especially in such a young man.
Do you think Aaron Hernandez experienced self-shame or toxic shame because of his sexuality?
Oh, I absolutely believe that Aaron Hernandez suffered from toxic shame. Remember, I wrote the book on it. In fact, and we'll flash this up on the screen, The Science of Shame and Its Treatment. I absolutely believe that his symptoms and his issues, his homosexuality, which really pre-existed any of the symptoms of CTE, were there. He knew he was gay at a very early age and was having a lot of sex with boys. And it's not noted that he had sex at all with young girls. So that was it. I believe that he had to hide. I believe that because of his relationship with his horribly abusive father, and the lack of bonding and softness with his mother caused him to go into a very deep, dark place where he lived for a really long time. It was a very lonely place. When you look at a video of Aaron or listen to any recordings, his affect was extremely blunted. And as DJ, his brother, said, at his father's wake, his father's funeral, he showed no emotion whatsoever. And so, yeah, I think that his shame was so intense that he couldn't relate to anyone, he couldn't share it. And what he did do was overcompensate. He was the football player by day and the gangster at night. And he hung out with a really nasty group of folks at night. They were true killers. They were all sociopaths. But that's where he found his safety.
You brought up the point that he hung out with the wrong crowd. Do you think constantly being around toxic masculinity enhanced anger?
I think his anger began when he was very young, watching his father beat up his mother. It was really a very, very traumatic household. He had been around men for a really long time. I mean, boys in the locker room. I don't think it was necessarily being around guys in that aggressive place that caused his situation. I think it was, if anything, it was the result of how he was raised, and the anger that he felt from watching his mother be abused, and then his mother really goading the father on. So Aaron is watching this stuff. He's watching his mother goad the father, and creating this nightmare of a house. And can you imagine a kid coming home from high school and doing his studies? Father comes home drunk from the bar, beats mom up, kicks the dog, screams at the kid. Aaron's brother, by the way, was a couple of years older and away at college, so he didn't really. Aaron had nobody to share this misery at home with.
How can others like Aaron Hernandez who experience self-shame get help?
Great question. How can others like Aaron who are experiencing toxic shame? Well, in my book, toxic shame has to do with drugs and drug addiction and low self-worth, extremely low self-worth, and horrible and negative self-talk. And how can others get help? There are many therapists out there who can deal with toxic shame. You could read my book, for one. Find therapists in your community who work with shame and work with compassion. Compassion-based therapies are extremely important in dealing with toxic shame. So absolutely, there are many folks who have symptoms like this and are screaming for help. I have calls daily and emails from all over the world of people who have read my book and want to find a therapist to help them deal with this. There are therapists out there, and there are many of them who work with what we call compassion-based therapy. And I think that's where you have to go, because compassion has to start with ourself. And in my book, compassion is attunement and empathy. If we don't have if we're not attuned to ourselves and we don't have empathy for ourselves, we're lost, because we can't. You can't fake it. You can't fake attunement and you can't fake empathy, which means you can't fake compassion. So compassion is that thing that guides us through life, and especially when we're having crises and traumas, we have to find that soft place inside of us that says we're going to be okay, and we do the self-soothing part and deal with our toxic and chronic self-talk, our negative self-talk. Again, if you're having issues with this, why don't you start by reading my book, The Science of Shame and Its Treatment? And if push comes to shove, you can reach me at Dr. Jerry, and that's DRGERRY at drgeraldfishkin.com. We're flashing it on the screen again. Please don't hesitate contacting me if you're in crisis or in trauma and you need some help. Again, it's been my pleasure to be here with you. I can't tell you how important it is that we deal with these issues, because there's nothing more important than having a healthy, quiet life. And remember, it's all about time and energy. And when we spend our time and our energy trying to control what's going on in our head and the misery we're experiencing, we should do something about that, because life is precious. And again, I'm Dr. Jerry Fishkin, wishing you all the best. I look forward to seeing you again on my show, The Dr. Jerry Fishkin Show, right here on Therapy Cable. Take care.